In this video, I'm taking my home brewery from junk closet to homebrew heaven, but not without plenty of challenges along the way.
I hate it.
So follow along as I attempt to make my dream home brewery.
Yes, let's go.
So I've been brewing for over 10 years at this point, the last 5 of which I've been posting here on YouTube. But I have a deep, dark secret. This is what my home brewery currently looks like. In fact, in every place that I've lived, which have all been apartments, either in Chicago or in California, I've always struggled to find a place to put my home brewing gear. Despite my belief that a nice stainless fermenter would look great in our living room, I'm not sure how practical it is. So to the closet, it all goes. And for what it's worth, I've made it work. Utilizing shelving I built myself, some handy 3D printed pegboard systems, and the occasional and suboptimal gear within a pot storage. I got it all to fit, but I won't lie, it's a pain in the tuchus to get a full fermenter in and out of here. And let's be honest, it doesn't look good. Plus it's eating up valuable storage space for other important things.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
However, that's all about to change, since I'm moving into a new place with a 2-car garage. My first garage, if you don't count the one I lived in when I started this channel. So that means I finally have the space to make a legit home brewery, and I can get to design it from scratch. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's back it up and start with a game plan. First, I need to organize and purge the stuff I have. Then, once I have the inventory, I'll determine what do I need to consider when planning a layout. With that, I can figure out what I need to buy or build to hold the gear. And since I film on YouTube, I also have a few other considerations. I need good lighting for filming and working. Not only that, it needs to look nice for filming, including some sort of cool accent wall. And I want it to be tidy, so plenty of storage is needed. And I want everything that possibly can be on wheels so that I can rearrange for certain shots and change up the look if I want. So to start, I need to take everything out of the closet and take a hard look at all the gear I have. Anything that I don't use or don't need anymore, it's either time to sell, give away, or toss. And there is definitely some of that.
It is pretty crazy to sit here and see all of my brewing gear in one space. I left one fermenter back there just because it is still fermenting right now, but this is a lot of stuff. And I'm not really sure where to begin, but I know I want to get rid of some stuff, either donate it or toss it, and narrow in on what I actually need for a functioning brewery. As far as big things go, I'm definitely going to keep my big kettle and 2 big fermenters. I got one here and the one in the back. And I'll keep my wort chiller, my glycol chiller. Additionally, in my kitchen, I have my kegerator and a mini fridge that can go in the brewery. And I love to find a spot for some mini fermenters, maybe have a little fermentation station. And then there's tons of little bits and bobs that I'll need to find a home for, so I'm gonna need some kind of storage for that. A few other little kegs and things like that. I need to get rid of a lot of these bottles and maybe some of these random bags of ingredients that I need to go through. Definitely lots of tubing. Really just need to start going through it all and then packing it up. So let's get to it. Okay, with that just about sorted, why don't we head over to the new place so I can show you the plan. Okay, here we are in the space. This is it. It is very much a blank slate right now, but I have lots of plans. All right, let me bring you in closer to show you what I'm thinking. So on this wall, I'm picturing a pegboard, and I can just set up all my accessories and tubing and whatnot in that. And maybe down here, I'll do a bit of like a fermentation area, have 2 fermenters right there. Back here, I'm thinking some sort of accent wall of some kind, maybe wood slats, I don't know, we'll see. And then my kettle, hopefully on a rolling stand that I can roll out to like right here or something, have a nice background behind me. Obviously, the lighting in here isn't great, so add some lighting. So the previous tenants actually painted these walls as like dark onyx, which I don't mind. I think that'll look nice, especially if I put the accent wall in over here, but the lighting is pretty atrocious. This is the only light, which will not be good for filming. So we'll get some better lighting in here and make it look good. Then hopefully I have some taps here, maybe mini fridge over here. I think that would be pretty nice. But that might all change once I get in here and see how things actually fit. So there's only one way to find out, and let's just give it a go. We're in the space. This is it. Right now, it's very much just things are thrown over here. I kind of started setting up the kegerator first, so at least I could be pouring some things while I'm doing this project. But there is a lot of work ahead of me. And of course, I found even more things that I was hiding in some closet somewhere. So I got to figure out that. But before I do anything, I feel like I gotta fix the lighting in here because it's atrocious. Right now I'm using my camera light, but without this is what I'm dealing with. Pretty awful. But I just picked up some lights, these Barina lights off Amazon. Let's get them on the ceiling and let there be light. Thinking 2 like this, 2 like that. I could even come this way a little bit more. Oh, that's snapping so easy. Let's see how many small screws I can drop. Boom. That is like the easiest installation of a light. These are so lightweight. There's these little adapter bits that just go right in the end. And you can just daisy chain them like that. I think that's what I want to do. Ooh. All right, so this doesn't quite span to connect both of these, so I might have to splice a couple of these wires together to get them to connect. I'm not good at soldering, but we're gonna give it a shot. Okay, I did the soldering and it wasn't pretty, but I think this should work. The moment of truth, drum roll. Yes, let's go. So much brighter. Now I can actually see what I'm doing. There's a few more little things I want to do so I can make this smart and the lights will just turn on when I come out here. So let me set those up, tidy up some cables, and then we'll keep moving. So in order to make this smart, I'm going to use a smart plug and connect it to my smart home. And that'll give me the ability to turn this on and off with an app. Additionally, I'm going to add a little splitter here to share some power with this, so that I can then plug in this, which makes it all possible. This is an Aqara presence sensor. You may be familiar with motion sensors, which when they detect you, they might trigger a light on or off, and if there's nobody there for a while, it'll turn the light off. It's the same kind of thing, except this uses millimeter wave technology, so that means it just needs the slightest bit of movement to trigger the light or to keep it on. I've had other motion sensors in the past where I'm waving my arms around trying to get them to trigger, so this should help just recognize when I'm in the room, keep the lights on, and when I'm not in the room, turn them off. Maybe I'll do something like this, pointing that way. I'll be mainly in this area, and maybe I'll bring the cable through here. So now I have it hooked up to my smart home, and I can just press this button here. Lights off, lights on wirelessly, and I'll hook it up to the Aqara sensor, and then I should be able to just walk in here and be ready to go at any time. Okay, so as you can see, I've been slowly making some progress here. I got a few things up here on the shelf, and this is on wheels now, so this can move around. Hopefully I won't hit any cracks. It should, for the most part, stay in its spot. And then I picked this thing up on Facebook Marketplace. This is a nice little Husky toolbox. It's got some drawers up here. I'll organize this with a bunch of tools and stuff. The top actually opens up, but for now I got my kettles on top, and then on the bottom I got the grinder, I got some extra grains, and I got my wort chiller. So this is all like the brew day cart. This is what I'll wheel out and I'll have right here. Something like this maybe. We'll kind of tuck in. Something like that, I don't know. I'll figure that out. And then over here I have my 3-tap kegerator. This is where my CO2 tanks hide. And this is just a mini fridge for extra beers, or if I wanted to do a fermentation chamber. And of course I gotta get this hung up, but hopefully this will have a nice brother that I can hang up right next to it. Something like that. But still a lot more to do, but this is getting me excited. I can already see the vision coming to life, and I think it's gonna look good.
One thing I definitely needed was some shelving for glassware. I really pared things down, but even still, I needed a good spot to put my favorite glasses, and right above the kegerator felt like the right spot. Nothing fancy, just some 1x6s cut to fit this stretch of the wall, and some quality brackets to support the weight. Next, let's talk storage. Not a fun subject, but a crucial one, as things can easily get in disarray without good storage. Plus, having a space for everything means you always know where it is, and that will just make brewing even easier. And then you can focus on the fun stuff. In my previous brewery closet, I experimented with multi-board. a 3D printed pegboard system, and I loved it. Super easy to start small and then expand, and the unlimited options for customization make it the most appealing to me. Plus, if I ever need a super specific holder for something, I can always try to design it myself. Luckily, most of these accessories were already designed, and I just had to adjust them to fit my needs. I reused some from my previous setup, and then printed some new ones like these jar holders for my salts and powders. Nice and labeled and organized. In the drawers of the Husky, I opted for another 3D printed system, Gridfinity. This uses a grid base and then customized bins that fit into place and divide up anything you need to be organized. I figured this was great for all the little bits and bobs I had in plastic bags. And I even found this cool site that you can just take a picture of an object on a standard piece of paper and it'll make the perfect cutout for your object. All you gotta do is print it. This part was extremely satisfying. Alright, time for the fun part. The section that will have the biggest impact on how the brewery looks. The accent wall. I played around with a few ideas, like using 3D printing to make some unique geometric patterns, but there's nothing quite as cool as a slat wall. But man, these can be really expensive if you're going to do a large wall. So I'm going DIY and I'll build it myself. I started by attaching some horizontal stretcher boards that I painted to match the wall, making sure to screw them into studs for weight support. I knew I wanted the slats to go up around this bend in the ceiling, so I made some cuts in the wood that will follow that profile. And initially I thought one stretcher for the top and bottom, but later I ended up adding a third one to give some more support in the middle. I also took some time to touch up any spots on the wall that needed paint. Now to really make the slat wall pop on camera, I decided to add some LEDs. I guess you could say I was inspired by the portly gentleman. I first started with some old Govee lights that I had. The adhesive had worn, so I just used a little bit of hot glue to attach it. I wrapped it around the top and the bottoms of both pieces of wood and turned it on to get a glimpse of how it might look. And unfortunately, this just wasn't working for me.
I kind of hate it. I think it looks like crap. I think that because you can see each one of these little LEDs, even with the slat wall, it's not gonna look good. So what I've decided to do is I bought new light strips that have a continuous LED. It'll kind of get rid of that splotchy dotted look, and I think will look much better. So let's wire it up.
So I watched a bunch of videos, and this one, which I'll include a link to, showed how you can program these LEDs to be smart using an ESP32 board, which is basically like a little mini smart computer. Did I mention I'm not really an electrician or super genius at computers? Well, somehow I managed to follow the video, and I was able to get it working.
That looks so much better. Holy cow.
All I had to do was remove the old lights and add the new ones.
Okay, after some tweaking with the code, I should have it. All I gotta do is press this power button. 3, 2, 1. Oh, nice. That looks much better, much more even all the way around. All right, I am stoked about that. I'll build a little 3D printed case to hold all the power stuff together. And then the next thing to do is just start adding some slats.
Feeling much better, I moved on to adding the slats. The hardest part was finding straight, clean boards at Home Depot. I went for 1x2s, or furring strips as they're sometimes called, then began the long process of measuring, cutting, and sanding. Lots and lots of sanding. I then pre-stained a few boards before finally I started installing them. After playing around with the spacing, I made a little spacer out of scrap wood to help me get these perfectly aligned, and a nail gun made quick work of the install. It got a little tricky around the bend, but I took it slow and took careful measurements to make sure it looked right. I touched up a few slats that needed some stain, and then the slat wall was done. Last but not least was the final touches to bring this space together, to really give it some warmth and make it feel alive. And before the big reveal, let's take a look at where we started. From closet mess, to empty garage, to full-blown brewery.
Welcome to my brewery. Let me show you around. Over here, I got my 3-tap kegerator. This I've had for almost 4 years now. And on top, I have my 3D printed tap handles that use an e-ink display, which has been a great way to customize and easily change out what I have on tap. And I loved it. If you haven't seen that video, be sure to check it out. Up here, I have all my favorite glasses. I had a ton, like 20 glasses, but I had to narrow it down to just my favorites. And this is my most recent one I got, a cute little taster glass, which is perfect for just getting a little sample of things. So I'm gonna have a little hop water. Cheers. And then along this wall, I have a couple memorabilia things. I have, of course, my 50K plaque that I got from my brother, that he made this for me using a CNC. And then I have my 100,000 subscriber plaque that I just got recently, thanks to you. And below, I have a couple articles that I had the pleasure of writing for Brewery magazine. This one's all about brew in a bag, and this one's about fermented beverages like tapachi and ginger beer. I'm grateful for the experience of getting to write for this magazine, so I thought it was a great way to commemorate by putting them on the wall. This is where I hide all my CO2 tanks. I just made this little box. And it just kind of keeps the CO2 tucked away. And this is just an extra mini fridge that I keep extra beers and other projects in. And I can also use it as a fermentation chamber if I need to. And this is a chair. Moving along. Here is my Husky toolbox, which I'm using for all my brew day related things. And of course it's on wheels so I can move it around. On top, I have the claw hammer electric system and then a smaller kettle to do small projects with. I have my chiller and grinder down here. And then in the drawer, of course, I already showed this, but the beautiful Gridfinity system. And the best part is I can always change this around. If I get new equipment or new tools, I can move these things out, move the boxes out, and rearrange to how I like it. But for now, this works great. Let's move this out of the way. Down here, I have my glycol that connects into these two fermenters, which is quick connects, which is great. And right here are the two fermenters. I have an Anvil fermenter and the Delta Brewing Firm Tank, which are great. I love these. They're working out great for me. Down below, I have some smaller fermenters and a little barrel, which I'm using to kind of age the mead. And then up here, I have all of my tools that I use on a regular basis or things I need quick access to. But I have my sanitizer, I got my brewing salts, little fermentation tops, and what are these called?
Airlock.
Okay, yeah. Airlocks and hydrometers and spoons. It's a great little system. And I can always expand by printing more of these plates and expand that way or down. So that's pretty much everything. And right now it works exactly how I'm hoping. The one thing that I'm missing is a way to clean things, wash things. I have a little hose system over there. So I'd love to get like a sink maybe, but if you have any ideas on how to make cleaning easier for me, I'd love to hear it. And if there's anything else that you think that this area needs, this brewery could use a little extra touch of something, let me know down below. So thanks so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was definitely a labor of love for me. And stay tuned for all the great things that I can brew up in this new space. Cheers and happy brewing.